We're in season 5 of this show. I can't believe it's been going on for that many seasons. But I'm gonna go ahead and get some music started. So we're at episode 8, season 5. As many of you know, this show has been going on for 5 seasons now. It started with a thought project, just so you know, in 2022, late 2022, when I was still living down in Charlottesville, Virginia. And I'm now up in Michigan. I'm up in northern Michigan, though, although not northwest Michigan. So it's been an interesting journey. And I really never know where it's going next sometimes. But we're also going to start celebrating St. Patrick's Day because it's officially March now. And so I've got my green beads to get it going and my green and black sweater for today. It's important to remember, on a more serious note, it was about a year ago that the former president of UVA, that was the president when I attended the school, and who was such a pivotal developed leader, I think really helped in my development as a person, passed away. So that was very sad. I was really glad I got to make some shows that honored his life and legacy before he passed away. And achieved getting the YouTube series started, which is something that I had promised the school I would do when I went to UVA for my postgraduate certification. And of course, agreed with them that I would go on to Nova and work on getting a degree in the sciences. I'd hope to eventually become a nurse or a PA with my degrees, but so far I haven't been able to do that yet. So we'll see what happens in the long term. But here we are, at least doing this public project that I had said I would do, and agreed with both Nova and which is several campuses in Northern Virginia, and then also the University of Virginia that I would do. So it's an important project in that sense. And then of course there were all the other people that I talked with, different activist groups, or from the Leadership Institute to ACLU, down in the DC area, and government agencies, and even my coalition that goes around the world. It's anti-slavery. Yes, anti-slavery. So anyways, but we're gonna get into another episode of what's this season, which is Odds and Ends. It's a Simply State Odds and Ends. Please get your books and your charts, because it's not gonna make sense at all. I got some really good ones tonight. Like, we got some like stuff that's come out that you're all gonna want to hear about. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by singing a little bit. And I'm gonna start by singing some Sheryl Crow. Yeah. So let's do that. Yeah, we're gonna do some Sheryl Crow. Oh, I'm gonna karaoke. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna karaoke Sheryl Crow. I have to admit, I've been really missing Virginia since I've been up in Michigan. I like Virginia culture. I have fond memories of it. I miss even having my dog down there. Of course, she passed away after I rehomed her up here to farm. So we'll see, I guess, if I ever return to Virginia or what happens. I have no idea anymore what's going to happen, so. Wash my hands real quick. A lot of the show really is about keeping in touch too with people that I knew during the years I lived in the Washington D.C. area, Virginia, Maryland. So there were so many of you. Hi. But I'm gonna go ahead and sing this song. I'm gonna do, instead of doing the normal one by Sheryl Crow that I performed, that was originally from Sheryl Crow, or supposed to be from Sheryl Crow, I'm gonna do If It Makes You Happy, because I like that one, and I think it's fun. I am getting better from my cold. I had COVID really bad, and then I went almost straight into a cold. It's been really bad. It is getting better though. So, yeah. I've been a long way away from here. Put on a poncho and played for mosquitoes and drank till I was thirsty again. We went searching through thrift store jungles. Found Geronimo's rifle and Maryland's shampoo and Benny Goodman's corset and pen. Well, okay, I made this up. I promise you I'd never give up if it makes you happy. It can't be that bad if it makes you happy. Then what the hell you so sad? You get down, real low down. You listen to Coltrane, derail your own train. Well, who hasn't been there before? I come around the hard way. Bring you comics and beds, scrape the mold out the bread, and serve you French toast again. Well, okay, I still get stoned. I'm not that kind of girl you take home. What makes you happy? It can't be that bad. If it makes you happy, then why the hell you so sad? If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. If it makes you happy, then why the hell are you so sad? Shake. You guys are funny. We've been far, far away from here. Put on a poncho and played for mosquitoes and everywhere in between. Okay, we get along. So what right now everything's wrong. If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. If it makes you happy, then why the hell are you so sad? If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. If it makes you happy, then why the hell are you so sad? I'm gonna go ahead and get okay. Somebody was making fun. I think it was like Jim Gaffigan has some new comedy show where it makes fun of Dyer Maker, which I do on the show. I have to tell you, people really, really like the song Dyer Maker, and the only problem I can find with the song Dyer Maker is that it uses the word baby, which I have to remember to change to darling. And then if I'm really tired or I'm sick, like in the last show, I end up singing the baby part like half of the show or half the song, And then halfway through, I'm like, oh no, I need to use the word honey or darling. I'm gonna throw up because I don't want to do baby. This is a decision I made like in the late 2000s with another friend of mine who was a journalist. Who just thought there's definitely a pedo culture coming out of Hollywood, and one of the more obvious ways that people tend to overlook is the use of the term baby. No, that's for a baby, as in a human infant, or like a baby cow, not, you know, a calfling, not, come on, people, not a love term. That's gross. Or like my sweet little girl. It's like, ew, I'm gonna get out of here now. Yeah, healthy you. So I'm gonna karaoke a song from a singer. I actually wrote the song with another man that I know when I was at Luther College, which is actually labor camp, who had a pretty tragic story, I think. Some say he's actually Keanu Reeves, the actor. We wrote it for one of the English performers, Mabel. And then I did basic tracking for it. I think I got paid for that though. Like that's probably every way through that horrible labor camp place. But the point is, Mabel wasn't a sick pervert runner of masturbating in public and attacking people. Unfortunately, J-Lo was at the school at the time. I had to work for her for way too long. So we've covered that though in the other previous shows, and we'll just keep talking about it until all the hacks go away for good. Somebody has to hold them accountable. Okay, so Don't Call Me Out by Mabel. Here we go. It's almost like a marathon song. Raps. Oh, whoa. I gotta turn this up a little bit. Sorry, I can't hear it well enough. It's too low. Okay. Hold on. We're gonna do this. It's really quiet background music. Yeah, I love my time UVA. When I'm underneath the bright lights, when I'm trying to have a good time. Cause I'm now good, you ain't mine now. Don't call me up when you're looking at my photos. Getting high, losing control. You want me more now, I let go. Now. I'm over you, and I don't need to last no more. Cause the truth is without you, boy, I'm stronger. And I know you said that I changed with my cold heart, but it's your game that left the scars. Don't call me up, I'm going out tonight, feeling good, now you're out of my life. Don't wanna talk about us, gotta leave it behind. One drink and you're out of my mind, now take it up. Baby, I'm on a high and you're alone, going out of your mind. While I'm here up in the club, and I wanna talk. So don't call me up, cause I'm here to look at that babe. I got eyes looking my way, and everybody's on my mind, babe. Now. Don't call me out. My friends said you were a bad man, and I should have listened to them back then. And now you're trying to hit me up again. Now. I'm over you, and I don't need your lies no more. Cause the truth is without you, boy, I'm stronger. And I know you said that I changed with my golden heart, but it was your game that left scars. Ooh, I'm over you. Don't call me up, going out tonight. Look good, now you're out of my life. You wanna talk about us? Gotta leave it behind. One drink and you're out of my mind. Now take it up. Baby, I'm on a high and you're alone, going out of your mind. While I'm up here in the club, and I don't wanna talk. So don't call me up. Don't call me up. Don't call me up. Don't call me up. I'm over you, don't need your lies no more. Cause the truth is without you, boy, I'm stronger. And I know you said that I changed with my cold heart, but it was your game that left scars. Ooh, I'm over you. Don't call me up. You're going out tonight, feeling good, now you're out of my life. Don't wanna talk about us. Gotta leave it behind. One drink and you're out of my mind. Now I'll take it up. Baby, I'm on a high and you're long going out of your mind. Well, I'm in the club, and I don't wanna talk. So don't call me up. Okay, that was kind of funny. Oh, I did dance that one a couple years ago. That was fun. Let's see. I really like Call Me Maybe, and I think I hate that song compared to the last one I just sang. Like, Call Me Maybe just isn't really a good song, except for the mix with DMX. That's a good song. So I'm gonna karaoke like one more. I can't tell what that little emoji is. And we do a song originally from Garbage called Special. I like that one. I'm living without you. I know all about you. I have run you down into the ground, spread disease about you over town. I used to adore you. I couldn't control you. There was nothing that I wouldn't do to keep myself around and close to you. Do you have an opinion? I might have your own. I thought you were special. I thought you should know. But I've run out of patience. I couldn't get less. Do you have an opinion? A mind of your own. I thought you was special. I thought you should know. I used to amuse you. I knew that I'd lose you. Now you're here and begging for a chance, but there's no way in hell I'd take you back. Do you have an opinion? Mind of your own. I thought you were special. I thought you should know. But I've run out of patience. I've run out of comments. I'm tired of the violence. I couldn't care less. Looking for new. I'm looking for new. I'm looking for new. Looking for new. We're the talk of the town. Talk of the town. We were the talk of the town. We were the talk of the town. I thought you was special. I thought you was special. So I'm going to go ahead. I do love singing for you all, but hi, thank you. I'm going to get into the show. Still, like, kind of fraught with yucky memories from being in Traversity, because I went through some rapes and stuff up there, and I'm like, so we bombed Iran, but Rachel McAdams, who was a psychotic rapist and a serial killer who belongs in federal prison, is still free. I mean, Timothy McVeigh is still free. David Berkowitz is still free. Like, all these weird serial killers that are from Russia and China are free in the U.S. We're supposed to be all excited because Iran's been bombed, and I'm literally worried about paying my rent and my bills. Like, I have spent, like, and I can't have a dog these days. Like, I just, no. We'll get get into it. We'll talk about it more on the show. I know I'm not the only person who feels this way. Like my generation is so tired of it because we've been going through it since the Gulf War. And I know I'm not the only person who has a story like mine, but mine's particularly bad, I guess. So whatever. So for those of you that like odds and ends is more review of concepts, like it's fun. I mean, but you're gonna be really lost if you didn't follow the other series, especially the like if you didn't do the thought project, just so you know you're not gonna get the logic down. But I think you'll be okay. What this is not is a women's studies show for certain. It's a show about the use of signet systems and slavery. We're doing St. Patrick's Day here, so that's going on too. And, you know, we will be throughout March until St. Patrick's Day hits, or happens. Hopefully it doesn't hit. And, you know, we discuss everything from language and culture, the use of signet systems, and how that plays out in modern day life. And then, unfortunately, Russian and Chinese activity in the U.S. that leads to slavery and labor trafficking. These are the groups that are predominantly responsible for it, especially the Russian FSB. And, of course, there's some migrating activity involved. You know, I have to note for you that Jared Leto, Hollywood actor, was in Traverse City while I was there. And he committed a number of crimes as far as stealing from people. There was a lot of, you know, bank theft and robberies and organ trafficking and child trafficking and attempts and attacks on people there. And, of course, the one terrorist attack you know about nationally, which isn't really well covered. And it's important to understand that, you know, for those of you, remember we went through the concepts of people that they dress as, like, from these different cult groups that are basically out of Russia and China. Mostly the Russian FSB or run by them. Or even MS-13 do these, like, characters they dress ugly. Well, Jared Leto's thing is that he has this Michael character he plays, which is literally Michael from Halloween. And I mean, for me, it was just, it took a lot of experience to figure out what he was doing, because these guys out of Russia and China, these, you know, whack job groups that commit so much labor trafficking and are in Hollywood, it's just really bizarre. But like, it wasn't until I was like 29 that I got to talk with a military general and his kids who told me what it was. He said, "Oh, he's Michael from Halloween." I was like, "Yeah, he dresses up as Michael from Halloween without the mask, but that's basically who he is." And the fact that we have a predominance of these cult groups still in the U.S., they seem to be running everything, is what's really scaring me. So no, I'm not super excited about what's happening with Iran. I'm scared about what I'm going to be doing in my life to pay my bills and live my life and be, you know, to survive. And frankly, polling has already showed, and just even memes, I can see my whole generation is like literally on the same page. So they're all just trying to figure out the same thing, you know, how do they support themselves? Because we've been going through this since the Gulf War. And of course, as far as exhaustion goes, I mean, George W. Bush wore everybody out with long wars and engagements, and he caused an entirely new generation of politicians to develop. I mean, you see the activities of Representative Derek Khanna and Thomas Massie in Congress. They have a bipartisan coalition going to work on the Epstein files, and they're not going to stop. And nobody's going to drop this Epstein issue and the fact that Trump has been found to be a pedophile himself and a pervert engaged in sex trafficking and organ trafficking more than sex trafficking. But, you know, and Clinton and, like, Bill and Hillary expected the whole thing to just go away. Like, Hillary's down to hearings now where she throws fits and walks off. I mean, we can't drop it with the Clintons. And nobody can let go of anything. And if it means, you know, the Obamas have to get pulled in too, then great. But, I mean, nothing is ever going to be good as it was as the days of Bill and Hillary Clinton for the neocons. And George W. Bush certainly used it more than enough. I mean, he's another one we should be bringing into Congress and force him to testify on his whack jobbery and stupid behavior. Remember all the fights he had with Congress back in the 2000s? Because he fought with the actual House Republicans and senators over budgets. And Today, things are very different. It's hardest to understand. Congress and actually the Republican Party has taken this president to task and actually already limited the powers of course, especially for spending, and put some restraints on Donald Trump. What I'm realizing is that this whole operation in Iran is pretty much an Israeli operation, and then it's being run with the contracting groups like Booz Allen Hamilton, Laban, CIC, and Accenture, as opposed to the U.S. military, and it's being funded by them. A lot of what happened in Traverse City with the terrorism attacks there was literally funding and money going to them. And, these are Chinese CCP, Russian FSB groups. So remember what I said about Palestine and Israel. Your conflict is mostly you've got Russian and Chinese activity there. And I just can't think of anything more weird. It's important to kind of distance yourself from some of it to realize what it really is. But I need to go with a big story today, so I'm going to show you something. You're going to be like, whoa! So, well, no, wait, let's do this one first. Hold on. Okay, I've got to do this. Then I'll go back here. I'll come back around here. Okay. So, here's the thing. Let's talk about this for a second with Iran, because Venezuela had crude oil, no oil to use. And Trump pretty much admitted that we went down there for oil, but then they turned out to have crude oil. And as far as drugs or even caring about that, I mean, there's drug lords all over Central and South America. They didn't do anything about. Worse, he's had a negative attitude towards the Mexican president, Sheinbaum, who just recently killed a major leader of El Jalisco, TGN. So, I'm more excited about that, I think, than anything right now. I'm like, did that get the Trump administration going? They're like, well, if she just killed the head of, one of the heads of El Jalisco, and we were going to kill, this Al Khamenei guy, it's not the same deal. Al Khamenei is really old. He was really old, and he had a bunch of time to sit and have talks and decide on the successor. And frankly, I don't see his death as anything. It just seems like they're giving him some kind of noble death. What you do need to know about Iran that's really important is that they have 27 trillion in natural resources. And while it may be a resource-rich country, it won't be after the U.S. is done. So after whatever Israel and U.S. are doing over there, it will not be a resource-rich country anymore. That is the goal. I have to laugh about a lot of it because anybody looking at it can see that, the U.S. wants to put this prince in. They want to install him. And Iran has already got their interim leader set up. Like, they had plenty of time to fix all that. Who is this guy? So there's this guy that they want to set up to be the leader. Of course, as you all know, it literally never works when we try to put, as USA tries to have Booz Allen Hamilton, Laban, CSA servers solve somebody. Yeah, they want to put in Reza Pahlavi. He thinks he has a chance after Khomeini's death. I don't, they want to, go back to the Shah of Iran. I think you have to look at history and go, wait a minute, so there were some positives of Shah of Iran, but there was also, he was on, the 70s, but there's also some films from the 50s about how negative he was and how decadent he was. And there were some things about him culturally that people here in the US don't like and associate with Hollywood. Now, I've also seen a lot of activity in the cult of ISIS, and Iranian activity related to the IRGC with Hollywood. So that could be kind of here and there, but what I'm saying is it wasn't necessarily deemed a good culture, and if it was certainly as perverted as some of the stuff that's coming out of Hollywood with the Chinese CCP and Russian FSB today, then it certainly is going to be something people are going to want back on Iran. That would almost be a punishment after losing the Al Khamenei. And it's important to note there is a mixed response. I mean, some people in Iran are really happy about it. Some people really aren't. They've gotten used to this way of life and enjoyed it. The reality is it's not our country. I don't want to pay for it. I have about $1,000 right now that I've been able to get. Michigan Department of Labor cannot get it for me. It has been stolen through those operations that went on last year, the year before in Traverse City and Petoskey, and it was really sucked up by a Russian guy who was at CACI. So CACI, a contractor that's mostly Russian, sucked up the money for this weird crap in Iran. And it's just enough. I don't want to pay for it. I need that money. I'm not going to appreciate someone taking it over there. I'm not in the weird, I decided a long time ago that this obsession with going to other countries and killing people was even sort of ridiculous. I remind you of all this even as Netanyahu's wife and son have been vacationing in Miami, like as of today. And frankly, it looks completely spoiled that, Israel and the U.S. just decided they want to go attack Iran, kill this old guy, and who had made plans to die and already picked a successor. And they've got an interim government already set up, so they were all ready for it. And I can tell you this, a protracted engagement in Iran is just not going to be accepted at all. Like, people said that literally the morning of. They just went, what? No. Like, we're not going to have some long engagement in Iran. So the reality is the U.S. isn't set up for success in that situation. I think what's also important to notice is that it's finally pulled the veil back on Israel. As my father, who was actually Jewish, said, he said, Israel is not for the Jews. And of course, we were Mizrahi. I'm only like half so and don't really practice it. But I'm telling you, he said it wasn't for Jews. He was killed in the 80s by Russian FSB here in the U.S., but they used the contractor who was Alan Hamilton. So you have to think about what these operations even are, because I don't see this as necessarily the U.S. military. I see this as a bunch of weirdo power groups that, that's certainly who carried out the operations with Maduro. Like, don't kid yourself. There's an actual problem in the U.S. government with who's Alan Hamilton, Laban, TSA, Accenture seizing contracts, and they don't do jobs right, and they charge too much, and they always underdeliver. Overcharge, underdeliver, bad, and need to be eradicated as far as this country goes. And there are military groups and contractors I do actually like, but not them. And I know this from having gone through 19 years of research and investigations myself down the Washington, D.C. area. So it's important to know that it's very much an out-of-control situation. Also, several Scandinavian nations have already said that they do not want Israel in their airspace. This was on Saturday, okay? And Israel has used Iran as a scapegoat in the issues with Palestine and not taken responsibility for the money laundering. Frank relationships to Russia, the Russian FSB, and money laundering. So it's important to note that there was literally no one who isn't aware that the Russian FSB was involved in a situation with Israel. As far as money laundering and real estate setups there, and maybe even their mafia. And the FSB seems like they're mafia though too. And you're going to have a really hard time if you just watch the mainstream news. Like, it's not going to make sense. So it's also important to know that the Iranian reformist president, I can't even say his name, Pezeshkian, and judiciary, Sharif Goham Hassan Masani Aji are his members. So that's your new leadership in Iran that they already had set up as interim leadership. Not the U.S., but them, because they were prepared for this murder. Yeah, it's a murder. My concern over all of this is that we in the U.S. had come to a point of not being with so at odds with Iran. And then there was this bizarre ratcheting up of events between Palestine and Iran related to real estate development. And all of a sudden we're back in a fight with Iran again. And the whole thing's just really scary. And there was a huge amount of trafficking up in Traverse and Petoskey, maybe in other parts of the country. Fake lawsuits set up all over the place, a huge push to pit neocons in Congress in both Democratic and Republican parties for the next election cycle. They were planning to use the Democratic Party for it. Remember I talked about, I'm saying neocons as in, these are Nazi groups that are basically out of Russia and China, but here in the U.S., which is really scary. But it's important to note all of this because how do I say this to you? Remember I said there was a weird series of events where Adam Driver, who was an actor at Denver Corp, but was also Chris Smith, and he worked for Senator Dianne Feinstein, went on raping and beating a bunch of women around town and making weird videos, and his wife was a contractor at CACI. And that's also Billie Eilish, the singer. She went by the name Shelby Smith. So what I'm saying about this is he had, under pressure and some lawyers, he was forced to admit that they were planning, the Democratic Party, at least the neocons were planning, and the contractors were planning to move Trump over to the Republican Party and do this big push to put in a bunch of neocons back into Congress. And of course, with that was going to come a bunch of organ trafficking, child trafficking, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking in the U.S. because that's what they do. The Chinese and Russian groups, they don't respect any of us here or our lives. It's really scary. Like, it's horrifyingly weird. Part of the reason I just want to stay in most of the time. But like the shootings of this winter with the Border Patrol. I mean, not Border Patrol, ICE. Doug Fleming was actually turned out to be Gary Bovino, or Greg Bovino, whatever name he's going by these days. The Bovino dude. Yeah, that guy. He's a serial rapist and a murderer from Russia. And he's been abused in Hamilton for a long time. They were all setups to do lawsuits and fundraising and money laundering people. Money laundering. It's just sick. I will say, at least in the Twin Cities operations in Minneapolis, that did allow a group of kids to be liberated from a daycare that was a labor camp. But, like, this is an awful lot of mess. And you should expect that from the contractors when they get involved, because they don't want to do anything right. They like to make a mess, overcharge, and do a bunch of crap. I mean, I say this because the planned murders and everything, don't kid yourself. Like, the 2 murders over the winter, at least we know of, were planned. I went through a horrible amount of struggles trying to get the contractors to stop from doing that when I was down in DC. And they got really mad at me and beat me up about it a bunch. They still get mad at me. And they always say stupid things like that. These people wanted to die. I doubt Rebecca Good wanted to die. She looked like she was somebody who was suffering and had emotional problems. It's just ridiculous. Had been brainwashed. Like, worse maybe if they had brain injuries and sent radio signals to, like, show up and, you know, play more, you're not help us. What are you doing? Stop that. Hi. So anyways, what I'm saying, am I the pink hand society now? But I'm conservatarian, I'm, you know. So anyways, I'm trying to think how to tie this up for you. Well, we've talked about it enough. These are concepts I've covered in other shows. It's not like you don't kind of know them already, but, you know. Anyways, so let's move on. So not also who the U.S. would choose is what I'm saying with the Parliament as far as leadership currently. That's not what they want to do. They want to install this prince. It's just not happening. Worse, Israel is talking a lot about a long operation to start killing off the other IRGC leaders and, frankly, other leaders in Iran after the Ali community was killed. And it's important to note that, you know, since a new successor was already appointed, it doesn't really sound a good goal for the U.S. to be involved in it, and certainly not financially. I don't want to pay for this stuff. It's like, you killed the Al-Qaeda, move on. But they were going to bear down on this bizarre real estate operation with Israel, and I don't want to hear about it. The whole thing's just fucked up. And then, of course, you've got these, you know, 27 trillion in natural resources that they want to strip the country of. And I'm sure some of you are going to think, well, would that benefit the U.S.? No, dear. It's not going to benefit the U.S. It's not going to benefit anyone here. It's going to benefit Israel and the direct contracting groups involved. Yeah, you're not going to get anything out of it, so don't even kid yourself. Believe me, CICX, Central Labab, Boozum, and Hamilton will never do any favors for the American people. And they will certainly not be taking wealth up over there to give to us. They don't do that. So, I would not reward the neocon groups, and I would skip the news coverage on Iran, because it's not going to be well developed or honest for the next part, probably for the next month or so, and keep focusing on the Epstein files. And remember, we're not into fake lawsuits. You know, Pam was about to try to set up a lawsuit with those women, the fake women who weren't Epstein victims, and was going to try to use that to fund money into neocon positions in Congress for the next election. I was like, nope, couldn't do that. Got that shut down. So, you know, this is the U.S. You know, if you're pervert, rapist, whatever, felony charges all the way. You know, red carpet all the way, baby. So, you know, gotta do what the Supreme Court says. So, anyways, yeah, it looks like she did just swing straight for a setup on Iran. Like, that deal didn't work, which probably wouldn't have worked that much. They're like, well, let's just, you know, Iran crap. So I'm going to talk about something else different. I'm going to switch topics here. And then we got a fourth topic over here. Yeah, so it's important to know that today photos of Sydney Sweeney were released, and you're not going to believe who Sydney Sweeney actually is, because I was to the point of wondering if she was actually a kid. And so I'm going to show you. These are supposedly like her partially unphotoshopped pictures. And I realized who she actually is because I actually know Sydney Sweeney. This is really weird. It's kind of sad for me to realize I know her. So, okay. So this is her on Photoshop, like over here. This is her Photoshop pictures, her CGI pictures. I mean, I admit this could be like a push-up bra here, right? Like padding. But this is her normally. Let's see if I can make that bigger. Like it's this one right here on the left. That's her. This was put out by. So basically, the care it came from No One Cares, some new website. But what's interesting is that the criticism was that people were mad at her for not wearing makeup. That's not it. The issue is that this is actually somebody else that I've known, Olivia de la Pena. They knew in Virginia. So she's actually the daughter of a man who served in the U.S. military, General de la Pena. And I hate to talk ill of a U.S. military officer, but she said that he had abused her, and he was very much part of the cult. And I hate this story because I stopped being friends with her a while ago. Like, we're still in touch on Instagram. But when I realized that she is actually, she knew about the situation down in Washington, D.C. what I went through. Didn't do anything to stop me from being thrown out of my home during the Trump administration. When I went to get my, I lost the partial settlement I had with my condominium with Endeavor Corp. So massively with Endeavor Corp. And then also she sat that kid, Franklin Silver, that I had to go to court and testify on behalf of, who was being anorexically raped and trafficked to Endeavor Corp. Carolyn Silver has him. She's supposed to be his mom, but the reality is she's been having the kid perform sex acts and be raped by, Patrick Wetzel, Emanuel, these old guys over in Endeavor Corp. These Russian off speed dorks, and even put him in a film a couple of years ago, which was funded by a nasty producer out of South America, who was a pervert pedophile. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was by Angel Studios. It came out back in 2023, like 3 years ago. And it's just important to note that she did have a lot of personal problems. I do remember now that Megan C's Livingston, who's also Christy Nome, also Michelle Hosebrini, and also Caitlin Collins knew her. So that explains the weird footage last summer of Sydney Sweeney taking her top down at the party and the weird sunglasses and all that. Because I was stuck dealing with the investigation to whoever Christy Nome really is last summer, because she's also these 4 other people that are massive labor traffickers and murderers. She is definitely old KGB network, and I mean I'm talking about Sydney. And she's friends with, she's part of the Silver Lake, which is now Endeavor Corporation. And frankly, she's somebody that, she's comfortable with the pedophilia and comfortable with the labor trafficking herself. At least it appears that way now. And frankly, she did get married to someone a while ago. I had supported her in doing that before I stopped talking to her. But this has been, I would necessarily describe myself as happy about it, but I'm just thanks. Thank you. I do feel pretty. Thank you. I just can't imagine. That's basically corruption going to the highest level of the government. The one thing I'll say is De La Pena doesn't have a job anymore in the U.S. government. As far as I know, if you want to look it up, you can find out if he went back, but I think he's out. I know she was targeted by Doug Fleming at one point, but now I wouldn't believe it would be an issue to worry about, considering no, not considering. I know, I wouldn't consider her a target of him with what's going on. She's the kind of person that he'd want us out to be in Hollywood. So, really weird. But so I guess when I made the jokes about Sydney Sweeney just being their Nazi fighting with Beyonce last summer, I kind of got more than right? Yeah, I mean, turns out Sydney Sweeney was pretty fine with a child being raped and sold, and not realizing I knew that she was going to become this actress and thought I dropped her. I think it turned out that her own management again were outed her. I don't know why they keep doing that. She has a bunch of people that literally outed her. I feel like I want to stand. I don't want to sit. Okay. Sorry. I think we're going to finish the show and I'm going to stand because I do not feel like sitting anymore. Okay, hold on. Yeah, it's weird about this because I remember going back years ago, Katie Couric was being really psycho to me like 20 years ago about it and say that there would be this other person. And I don't think Sydney Sweeney would have been born yet. And she, so this person's gonna be like, seriously, who had trafficked me. I was like, just shut up. I can't engage her. For those of you who used to go to some support groups around DC, which I don't go to, and quit going to 12-step groups, she was in those. This is Katie Couric used to stalk people up on, but used to come to me as a Gento, so. And then I ended up in prison for about 10 years. So, what I would say about Sydney Sweeney, it's important to know, is that she's a follower of David Berkowitz. Doesn't have a problem with abuse and child trafficking. And, David Berkowitz is the son of Sam, serial killer. He's Russian. Yeah. The other thing is, Umar Dozabirlov's body was found dead today in Moscow, and he was one of Epstein's affiliates. He's dead. So, I'm going to change topics again. I keep getting signaling that Madonna and Rihanna are both people being made to wear killer heels and white to signify that they might be about the same as Tay McRae, people that took material from me but didn't want me killed. Is that what we're going to do? Didn't want me abused, didn't want me killed, but took material and knew better? Is that what we're supposed to say about Madonna and Rihanna now? Okay. But they're being made to do that. Maybe it's for all of us to know about them. That they're guilty of something other than not heinous murderers and labor traffickers on purpose. But
Russian home.
Got it. Okay. So, not to be too praising of Rihanna or Madonna at this point, which is the same thing as Tay McRae. It's like, okay. I have to admit, I did know Florence and the Machine. I was pretty crazy about her. Knew her. Met her like decades ago. I met too many people in the industry. But, it's not really an industry. It's a bunch of, like, weird labor traffickers and cult groups and contractors. And, I need to remember this. One thing you should know is apparently The Mummy, there is a new Mummy movie coming out. Remember Rachel Weisz from the Mummy movies? Everybody I know, and I've talked to a bunch of people about this, and even journalists, they said they think that she, like, your mainstream journalists, which I'm sure you all really respect. Apparently she is also Lauren Sanchez. And all I'm going to say about this is I know that Rachel Weisz was supposed to be listed as Daniel Craig's wife, but that's not true because he's actually married to another woman from Luther College that was a professor. He's actually a doctor in Chinese CCP. And then Lauren is actually with Jeff Bezos. So the point is everyone thinks that Rachel Weisz is actually Lauren Sanchez, or Larry Sanchez. I think that's all I have to say right now. I'm going to come back and do a part 2 to this episode and sing for you all, but I'm going to take a break right now and I'll be back in a little bit. So, see you again soon. Sorry, I normally don't take breaks, but I am today. This has been a hard